Good afternoon. My name is Alan Kapata-Shungu from Front Door, and welcome to a special edition of Recovery. In this episode, we have the privilege to learn more about RealSure, Realogy's iBuyer program. We are delighted to have outstanding leaders from the Coldwell Banker family, Kristin Aerts Bourgoin, Vice President, Consumer Programs, Matt Dillon, Senior Manager, Engagement Strategy, Consumer Programs, and Ryan Gorman, President and CEO of Coldwell Banker. So thank you everyone for being here, first of all. And to get us started, since we have a lot of ground to cover, if you guys are okay, we can get started with the questions.
Absolutely.
I appreciate your time today, guys. So the first thing that I would like to ask you is, could you maybe tell us about what RealSure is and what are some of the key features that you guys offer, pretty much?
Yeah, I'd be happy to take that one. So,
Sure.
I think before I answer the question, be fair to acknowledge that there was a need in the industry to uniquely meet the demands of today's home seller. And iBuyers found that, kind of niche in there, right, in speed and certainty. But what we feel is that the iBuyers didn't fully address the consumer needs. Okay. And the desire for speed and certainty came at the cost of price, right?
Okay.
And so for most individuals, a lot of their finances are caught up in their home. And so is that really something you want to be willing to gamble, what a price could be and what your opportunity could be? And so that's why we made RealSure. So, we designed RealSure with our partner, Home Partners of America, to not only uniquely meet the needs of the consumers and our agents we serve, but it was thoughtfully designed to include agents in that full experience, because we really think it's important to have an agent at the center of the transaction, helping the seller navigate that experience, right? It can be a really stressful time, hard time. It's good to have someone on your side helping you and thinking you through it. So with that background laid, RealSure has two components. So it's got RealSure Sell, which brings sellers the certainty of a 45-day cash offer, which is much longer than what other iBuyers put on the table. But the best thing about it is when you have that 45-day cash offer, you can also market your home with your trusted real estate agent and see if you can get a better price.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And then with RealSure Buy, the choice is the consumers. So if they want to accept the RealSure cash offer, we have flexibility and opportunities for them to do that. If they want to accept a higher third-party offer, we have opportunities for that as well. What's most important to us is that they get the home of their dreams. And what's really uniquely cool about RealSure Buy right now in the US and the hot market that it is I think a lot of people say, well, why would I need a cash offer? Why would I want a cash offer right now? My home's going to sell. Well, what they're not thinking about is yes, you're a seller, but are you about to become a buyer? Because then you're in that same hustle. We're all in. I just bought a home in September when there's multiple offers, a lot of things on the table, and you want to be as competitive as possible. Well, how about you take the RealSure cash offer and let the person you're trying to buy the home from know that you've got that in your back pocket.
That's awesome. That's powerful.
It's almost like she said that before.
Yeah. Right?
It's almost like she's done the pitch.
It feels so simple, natural. I love it.
Yeah, wait till you hear from Matt. Matt's delivered this 1,000 times, but Matt's the only one of us that actually gets to spend all of his time on RealSure. The rest of us just ask him for permission to spend a little bit of time on it now and then. So he's really got it.
Sorry, Ryan, my computer's breaking up. Can you say that again?
That is awesome. So to be fair, following what Kristin just shared, you guys aren't the first iBuying program out there. So, but why don't just, if you had to pick maybe one iBuyers to compare RealSure to, which would it be, and what is the advantage, pretty much for consumers who are using RealSure?
I'll take that. It would be so unfair to compare us to anyone else because it would make them look badly, and I hate to do that to our competitors. So, it is unique though. I mean, you heard it from Kristin, but it is that the fact that it's a 45-day cash offer. I oftentimes say we're not trying to buy a lot of homes. We're trying to sell a lot of homes, right? So it's not really the iBuyer offer. We really try and add the comfort that an iBuyer offer would add, someone knowing they have a floor underneath them. That's really what we're trying to do with this program. So I haven't seen anybody else do this yet. That doesn't mean that they won't. You know, I think we're having a lot of success right now, and the more success we have, the more people try and mimic probably some of the things that we're doing. So they may try and do this, but we're really positioning this as all the benefits of utilizing a real estate agent to market and sell the home for the highest price in the shortest period of time, and the benefit of knowing that you've got a cash offer already in your back pocket to be able to use whenever you see fit. So so far I haven't really seen anybody go down that road yet.
That's awesome. Are there like certain price points where you're focused on, like, or this is for every home in markets that you guys go to, pretty much?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, you know, in each market where RealSure goes to, we have a max and min price that we're looking at, and it does vary based on market. So the best way to think about it is that we want to be buying homes where the housing stock is most liquid. So we want to be kind of covering that medium home price. If you think of a, you know, standard deviation curve, we want to be kind of right in the middle, because that's where most of the transactions will be occurring.
Awesome. Okay, makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Other companies have had varying speeds as they go to market, but do you have goals for like opening more cities? I think that you guys are now in 5 cities, if I'm not mistaken. Are you guys planning to open more this year?
Old news, Matt. Why don't you bring them up to speed? You're like hours behind.
Oh wow, hours, just hours. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, RealSure, when it originally launched, we were in 11, right?
Oh wow. Okay.
And we've officially reopened back everywhere we were. Plus, we added Atlanta, which just launched about 2 weeks ago, and we're about to launch next week. Okay. We've pretty ambitious goals to be opening new markets all the way through July. So you'll hear about that soon.
Yeah, expansion is definitely on the mind of the RealSure team. It was a little bit of a crazy 2020 as it was for everyone. We don't have to go down that road. But we want to expand into new cities, but we're also looking to kind of expand the coverage where we are, right? So like if we have the general metro area, can we go wider there so we can be making sure we have the best coverage for where it's already available to those agents too?
Definitely. That makes sense. How does RealSure pretty much benefit the agents or the brokers? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, that's actually a really good question. I'll take that one.
Sure.
When you kind of think about brokerages and agents, they're under a lot of stress, right? It's a super competitive field right now. For our brokerages, them trying to recruit agents and retain them, and then for our agents to win new business. And I think something that's really important is you can't just have tools anymore, right? Everyone has tools, and what really drives the value is really how you use those tools to benefit the consumer, and for brokerages, how they recruit agents. And so RealSure has been a huge benefit for that. For our brokerages, it allows them to offer alternative buying and selling solutions to agents they're trying to recruit. And for the agents they already have, they don't go anywhere else, because as Ryan said and Kristin said, there's no one else doing this right now the way we program. So it creates that sticky factor. It's hard for agents to leave, and it makes agents want to come. And we've already seen, you know, some of our brokerages have a lot of success in recruiting agents with it. And then for our agents who are using RealSure, they being able to come to the table immediately and offer that dual marketing strategy. We've kind of hit on it a little bit. The ability to have that 25-day cash offer, that floor underneath you, but the ability to go out to market and still see how much you can get for your home. It kind of takes that stress out of, will my home sell? Will I get a fair price for it? But I still have the peace of mind of that floor underneath me in case anything in life happens. I can take that cash offer. So, you know, our agents and brokers are really finding a lot of success in using RealSure in those avenues.
That is awesome. To kind of continue on that aspect, Matt, can you like, how have you found your agents receptive to RealSure? Can you talk a little bit about like what are some of the things that are really excited about? Maybe if you can get a little bit deeper in that aspect as to how they are receptive to what you guys are proposing.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So we look at the dynamic of the market right now. In the U.S., it's a hot seller market, right? For a lot of people, putting their home on the market is a scary thing if they have to buy their next home, right? Because it could be a hurdle to get to that home they love. If their home sells too fast and they don't have a place to move into, that can all just be scary. And RealSure takes a lot of that out of it for consumers. So when it's coming, presenting and saying like, hey, you know, we understand you have to sell a house, either you're upgrading, maybe you're downgrading. Selling your house is no longer a hurdle into getting it you love. You could essentially start the selling, the buying process at the same exact time and really give that peace of mind that they otherwise wouldn't have in the traditional transaction, right? There's a lot of pitfalls and things that happen that can make buying and selling really just a scary thing. So RealSure has really brought that peace of mind both to agents as they're meeting with clients, giving them these options they otherwise wouldn't have. So reception has been really, really good. Really excited.
That's awesome. That's good.
I love that. I'll just add that's what agents do every day, right? So they bring kind of calm to the crazy. They bring sort of the peace of mind to the fear, that everyone, whether they're buying a house or selling a house, there's a lot going on in people's lives. Everything's changing. When they relocate, it's much more than a financial transaction, right? Like everything in their life is changing at the same time. Agents kind of keep people calm. They help them to understand, look, millions of people do this every year. With the right advisor at your side, you're going to have a great experience. Us as a company being able to give them an additional tool, leveraging our scale, leveraging our partnerships to be able to give them something that helps them to bring the temperature down more, to bring the fear down more, to help people breathe. Sell, buy, exhale is one of the expressions that you see in our RealSure t-shirts out there. And it fits, right? I mean, it's what agents do every day. So we're just kind of giving them another piece of the puzzle to kind of do that even better in what is truly a crazy market right now.
Absolutely. To kind of follow up on that topic, because I think it's really, to me personally, really interesting. I would like to ask you guys, like, how do you train agents to present the program? Like, how does that work pretty much? How do you guys talk to them about talking about the program to the consumers that you guys ultimately target?
Yeah, our training, I can take this one. Our training is something I'm super excited about. We've been very intentional about how we design our training. We want to make it like a really holistic program, training people the way that they learn. So we have a mix of live training that we do. We have our wonderful field trainers that are talking about RealSure day in and day out. Agents who can sign up for that. But then we also have self-paced options. We understand that some agents are busy, which they should be in the top market. And so we want to make sure that they can, take training on their own time as well. And what we're super excited about is at the start of 2021, we've partnered with an organization within Realogy called the Learning Center of Excellence. And a whole new training regimen, a whole new menu. We'll have things like videos, listing appointment scripts, objection handling, best ways to use it, successes of agents, spotlighting it, really helping our agents to understand how they can use RealSure to benefit and grow their business. So quick shout out to that team, to Sarah, it's Kristin. She's been awesome. So shout out to LCOE for the big help with us on that.
And to Matt and Kristin, because the two of them are, from what I hear, I get this feedback from the field, that people just want to watch the Matt and Kristin show all day, because these two, they'll do the role playing and the objection handling and the working through, which is awesome, right? We see that done really well. It's inspiring. You want to absorb it all and be able to utilize it yourself. So I love that. Sorry, Kristin, didn't mean to interrupt you.
That is awesome.
No, I was just going to give a shout out to Matt. I mean, he's been working so hard on revamping the training. So I'm excited that you asked about it. And I think it's also really cool about what Realogy can be bringing to the brands and to our brokerages. Like, because of the scale that we have a whole, Matt mentioned it, Learning Center of Excellence. We have a whole team just dedicated to that. The person, Sarah, we gave the shout out to, she's created whole online courses for colleges, right? Like it's really cool to have that level of expertise supporting the different program and product teams that we're bringing across the network. So we're really lucky to have that at our disposal.
That is awesome. Side note, I love the guys that you just are just shadowing people. I just like it. I really love the shout out aspect of the interview. That is awesome.
We have
an awesome team.
We do a whole other session. It's just nothing but, it's going to be like the Oscars. There's going to be a whole.
I love it. I just love it. That was excitement for me. I just love it. So to kind of follow up on what Kristin just touched on, so are the Realogy brands all going to have like the same offer, or will each be able to kind of pretty much do and adapt to their own flavor? Like, what are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's RealSure is special because it's cross-brand, right? So we're bringing it to all of Realogy brands, which is really cool. But we understand the importance of brand, right? Brand differentiation, that's obviously really core to Realogy and all of our wonderful brands that we have. And so how people choose to weave that into their brand story and their brand value proposition is for them to own and design. Like an example for that is we have ERA Real Estate, and they've had for a long time their seller's security plan. which in a nutshell is like a guarantee to buy the seller's home after a certain period of time for a certain percent of the home value. And so you'd hear that and you'd say, well, is ERA excited about RealSure? Do they want it then if they already have SSP? But the reality is that they're complementary, right? So RealSure has this 45-day cash offer offering. If someone wants even additional security, they can do SSP for longer, which is amazing. So it's actually been really warmly welcomed. And, Matt can even talk to this even more because prior to being part of the RealSure team, he was part of the ERA team. But they've brought it all together. So now that agent can just go, and it's all about offering the most value to that consumer at the listing appointment, right? So it says, I can do RealSure. I can do SSP. Let me talk to you about all the great things that ERA can do for you or Coldwell Banker can do for you. So we're encouraging people to leverage it with the programs at their disposal. And since you complimented our shout outs, I would like to shout out one additional person, which is the wonderful Dawn Perry. So Dawn is our marketing expert for just programs and products kind of across Realogy. She leads that whole strategy. She's been amazing with consumer programs and with RealSure. And so she's done a great job of folding what RealSure is and the brand of that program in with the other brands. So how do we version it correctly? How do we tell the right narrative of the brand story along with the program story? So there's one more shout out for
That's awesome. That is awesome. To kind of follow up on that, so how does that buying fit into CB, Coldwell Banker overall value proposition? Like, how does that fit in?
Sure. Well, I mean, hand in glove, right? So Coldwell Banker's value proposition, so since 1906, right? So we've been bringing the founding principles, honesty, integrity, and service that guides us every single day. And today, as we're working with individual clients, it's having a subject matter expert at your side, a trusted advisor at your side to guide you through anything the market brings. So when we think about RealSure, it fits perfectly into that portfolio. So imagine a client who's got some of the concerns that maybe makes this program perfect for them. Or maybe they even ask about it. Maybe they even say, hey, that sounds terrific, but I heard about this iBuyer thing. What do you think? Oh, well, it's terrific. Actually, your Coldwell Banker agent, as your subject matter expert, I know everything there is to know about iBuyers. I can walk that through with you, the pros and cons, the different players, how they operate. And if that's of interest to you, I can bring to you something I think may even be better fit for your situation, which is a cash offer that doesn't explode after a few days. It lasts for 45 days. And you can have that in your back pocket so we can make sure that you're transacting with total confidence along the way. I mean, that's a perfect complement to the story that's already being told. It's not suddenly shifting gears and going to an entirely different type of transaction. It's continuing exactly along the lines of the conversation that started, but continuing to bring down the temperature. A lot of the work, I mean, Kristin works on other things like Real Vitalize, as well, which that is another program we don't have to get into necessarily today, but it's another program where, again, we're sort of bringing the temperature down. We're de-stressing the transaction. We're leveraging our scale and buying power to be able to bring to the benefit of the consumer through the agent, always through the agent. So it really fits together pretty nicely.
That is awesome. So Steve, as we know, Coldwell Banker has a really strong presence. And I know that for a fact. I've been able to, working from here in Paris, or I've seen you guys in Portugal, like you guys are pretty much everywhere. So with your global presence, could you see the model scaling beyond the US? Like, is this something that we could see in France or in Portugal or in Spain and things like that?
It's a totally natural question because, of course, like Matt and I are in New Jersey, and everyone thinks of kind of Paris and New Jersey as basically two halves of the same whole. I mean, essentially, kind of the sister siblings. So I think we'll just conquer one country at a time. So we'll go with America first, but give the team another week and a half, 2 weeks, and then we'll talk about what country comes next, perhaps. I understand you've thrown Paris into the ring for France to be the next stop. I get it.
Yeah.
I get
Ryan,
it.
Just one thing, Ryan. I understand that before we open up a new location, we like to do scouting. So I will first to volunteer scouting just to make sure it's a good fit.
It's so willing of you, Matt. Thank you.
That's why Matt's had like Fiji on the list for a while now, and it's all clicking. It's all coming together now. I understand it.
That is so unselfish of you, Matt. Like, that's awesome. That's an incredible. That's great. Definitely. Okay. So in this, I've seen something like in December 2020. Obviously, back then that was all news when you guys just were, I think, in 5 cities back then. But just to this is a more personal question. Like, how did you keep your team motivated? Like, just during these uncertain times. Like, you can speak each to like, how did you manage to go through what we are all going through, pretty much, knowing that RealSure was something new and you guys wanted to put that in the market, and then COVID hit? Like, how did you deal with that, pretty much?
Yeah, it was, we like to refer to the roller coaster of 2020 that was RealSure when we launched big in 2019, and then we had to pause in March, and we partially opened in July. And then, we were so excited by the end of the year to close out 2020 and say, we started 2020 with 11 markets. We're ending 2020 with 11 markets. We're already to 12 now. As we said, we have like big expansion plans. I think right now the team is getting a lot of fuel from that expansion plans, knowing that like we're really doubling down on this. This isn't something that we're doing, at the moment, or it's not something we see or really believe in. Like, we're really, really focused on it at Realogy. And, even though it was paused for a period of time and had those different fluctuations happening, we made a really good use of our time. So like both the Realogy team and Home Partners of America, who we work with to bring RealSure, we brought things like, when we paused, we learned about more of the buyer hurdles. And so we designed Flex Day, which lets the seller, if RealSure buys the home, you can stay in the home and rent it from RealSure for up to 30 days. And Assured Close was another thing we designed during our pause. What Assured Close does is it extends your cash offer up to an additional 45 days through a third-party closing. So what that means to help visualize is, I think a lot of people experience the stress of the domino effect of what can be housing transactions, right? So like 2 transactions away from you, someone's inspection failed and they're pulling out of that deal, and somehow it's affecting you. We don't want someone to be in that position, so they can extend their cash offer so they can for sure be buying the home that they want to buy. So like all of that happened because of the pause, right? We got to like step back, think about what we were hearing, and make the best use of that time. We also did a lot on like the website and UX and agent portal. We're going to be doing more about that this year, which we're excited about. Additional strategies of how we wanted to bring it to our agents and brokers. So we did a lot, and we kept ourselves busy. I think Matt would probably say he didn't feel like he got a break during that time, because we knew it would reopen and we knew we'd want to go really big in 2021. So we just tried to focus on what we could control at the time, so we can run fast now.
Well, that makes sense. Awesome. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I would say, kind of building on what Kristin said, we all had the layer of the pandemic over us and the different stresses that brings, but we used that time really to just not only reevaluate where RealSure was, but to take back the tremendous amount of feedback we were getting from agents. So when we came back to market, they weren't getting the same program that we initially put out. She mentioned some of the new additions, but we also changed some of the existing things within the program as well that we truly added more value to the agents. I don't think those things would have came as quickly as they did without that pause. Just like on a personal level too, Kristin and Ryan, everyone was really great, like leadership about understanding we're also in a pandemic. So it wasn't like just like push ahead, like redesign the program. There were times where we also had to kind of take that break for ourselves as well with the program, that gave us room to think about making, better changes for the program. So it was actually really cool to listen to agent feedback and dig into that and really understand, so we can really position the program in a way, especially with the spring market coming up, that could really be a beneficial tool in our arsenal. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they've said it, and I think there's a lot going on for every individual during the whole thing as well, including housing related. So for each of Matt and Kristin, they were going through their own housing journeys too, right? And coming away from every part of that saying like, well, wait a second, now that I'm doing this, I realized that we should tweak the program this way, or what if we did this, or what kind of elements are there? And which I appreciate them both doing that solely for research and development purposes, to be able to consider uprooting their lives and their families, to move. That was really, they go above and beyond. This team's awesome. We even said like, well, what's it like if you're like pregnant while you're going through the process, and Kristin was like, all right, I can do that. So she decided to even have a kid during the process. So their dedication to research and development on behalf of the consumer and the agent it's unmatched, I would say.
That is, I'm speechless on that one.
Anything for RealSure, Ryan. Anything for RealSure.
We're very committed.
I definitely think that's just me saying this, Ryan, but when you think about Paris, I have 2 people that you definitely need to send to Paris just to be able to scout. And I think those people are already on the call, so it definitely makes sense.
Oh, look at that. That worked out really well.
I'm glad my international texting worked.
I am here. Perfect. We've already talked. I am here. I can take care of those guys. So you make sense, right?
That's as generous of you.
Absolutely.
To really invest yourself in this person. That's perfect.
To just kind of finish it off on recovery, we're really big on helping people who are listening to us and watching our episodes to be able to grow through these tough times. So we always like to ask our guests, like, what are some of your things that you've learned about yourself during this pandemic? Like, personally, we are big on that aspect, on just being able to build people and grow people, especially in this industry. So if you guys can tell us, like, what have you learned about yourself during these tough times? This could be on a personal level. This could be literally anything that you can share around it. That would be awesome.
I'll kick us off on this.
Sure.
Icebreaker here. There's two main things. I thought about this question. I really wanted to give a thoughtful answer. I think the first thing that I learned about myself is the importance of like faith and family in this pandemic. At the very beginning of it, I lost an uncle. Not able to see my parents as often as I would like. I have a grandmother in a senior care facility in Florida. Hasn't seen family since this has started. Prior to the pandemic, if you were to ask me, oh, do you care about family? Is it important to you? Like, of course I'd say yes. Like, who wouldn't say it? But back then, when you're kind of just going through the rigmarole of life, it's easy to take for granted something as simple as a hug, right?
Absolutely.
I called my parents a little less, didn't speak to my grandmother as frequently, and then 2020 happens, and those things that you took for granted are taken away, and then it forces you to kind of appreciate family much more.
Awesome.
Second thing that I will say that was also very important to me that I probably didn't realize as much before is self-care, right? The pandemic had a weird effect on time. It both moved slowly and fast. Vortex of time. It's easy to kind of succumb to anxiety and depression while navigating new ways to work at home. And for my family, that's like me and my wife both working full-time from home, and then having a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old all at the same time. You can imagine the challenges with that, then plus transitioning to working fully remote, and then add the pandemic on top of all of that. It's just it's a crazy situation, a perfect storm for mental stresses. So what I super appreciate about Kristin, shout out to her. She continuing our shout outs is that she was very purposeful and intentional about me taking that R&R, right? Self-care.
That's awesome.
The work we're doing on RealSure is amazing. It's fulfilling, but it was never more important than family and then like my own mental health. So taking that refreshes me. So for me, that's photography, right? On the weekend, I'm in search of the perfect chocolate chip recipe. My kids are so what I've done so far is it's not up to par. So but if you want to send me some of that along with the plane tickets, I appreciate that. And then also, just appreciating like the superwoman my wife is. Like, you usually think you understand like what a woman has to go through and working for and having kids, and like just balancing that. But like being home full time and just seeing what it's like to have kids, and then her being a working mother, I was like, wow, you do all the just like shout out to her as well in the spirit of shout outs. But like also making sure that time as well, just learning the importance of those two things.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
So I'm definitely not following that. Kristin?
I was about to say, so Ryan, Matt, you're just the best. And thank you for the shout out. I think, I've personally grown a lot in the last year. So Ryan touched on it a little bit previously, but I did become a mom during the pandemic. So I had my first daughter last June, and so I was pregnant during the start of it, had the whole COVID birth experience. No one can visit you. No one can visit the baby. Being a new mom is already quite isolating, as the whole like working mom, how you balance all of that with COVID was just kind of nothing anyone maybe would have planned to sign up for. But it's taught me a lot about what matters and what doesn't matter in a day. And like I am, me a year and a half ago, you couldn't, maybe Ryan is ahead of me, but like more of a workaholic type of person, right? Just like cranking out the hours, like what can I possibly do among like beyond the physical bounds of what someone can deliver for work, and that with wanting to be closer to family. So we ended up moving twice during the pandemic. So we kind of fled because I was pregnant and we were in the New York City area.
Okay.
So we had to live with my parents for 9 months in Iowa. And then I bought a house as part of my research for RealSure in Minneapolis, which is where I am now. But like wanting to be close to family is really important. It is one of those things. I mean, I left home when I was 18 and just kind of took it for granted. But once you become a parent, I think too, the other thing is it's made me, you know, being a mom has made me a profoundly better leader. And it's one of these things where it's like you don't know until you know. And I don't think it's the same path for everyone, but understanding what people need. So it's just, you really have to give everyone a lot of grace, right? Like this has been a hard year and it's literally been a year now. And what everyone's navigating, you know, no one's having like the best day of their life, right, in the last 365 days, but they're doing it. Like they're waking up every morning, they're figuring out how to parent, take care of elderly parents, like navigating if their neighbor's okay, like all of this stuff while working, while trying to deliver for a company. And so it's been very humbling and awesome. I mean, we have an incredible team. I think work family is another big part of that. Like it's a great place to be yourself.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That's powerful. Love it.
That is, they're awesome, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
like they really are. Like I get to work with them like all the time. I mean, not too much, you know, as they remind me, balance is I'm not really known for work-life balance, but these two kind of keep me in check.
In check, yeah, that's important.
You know, the pandemic's been interesting. I'm really blessed, first of all. I mean, we've had health under this roof. You know, we took some early hits in the pandemic, but we've been healthy under this roof, and
that's awesome.
It's been amazing because I used to fly every single day. Like every day for like 20 years. I've been, you know, kind of flying pretty much, you know, all the time. So I wasn't even really around very much, like around the house or around the office. And to be home with the kids now, like, I mean, yes, there's downsides that everyone can talk about, kids going, you know, bouncing off the walls, but I'll never be able to do this again. I mean, it's like, you know, there's a huge silver lining for me for being able to spend time with them. And I you know, as I tell my oldest, who's not under this roof anymore, like I almost wish this had happened when she was, you know, with us, because that would like, I would pay for that to be able to have another year with her here at the house too. So, there's a lot to be thankful for in that. And, you know, honestly, my wife started a company, her first company she's ever started during the pandemic. She wouldn't have been able to do that if I weren't here. Like if there weren't some stability that you kind of count on to, you know, go on this adventure, which is going phenomenally well. And she's like incredibly successful with it. And so even when I get back on the road, like she's going to be great, but she probably wouldn't have had that space to be able to do that if it weren't for me kind of coming off the road for a while. So, you know, big silver linings and a lot of gratitude.
That is awesome. That was a powerful conversation, guys. I learned a ton about what you guys are doing. I was curious about this. I really wanted to know more, and I had the opportunity to talk about it with Ryan. So when this happened, I was really excited to have you guys online and be able to learn kind of more about it. So thank you very much for making the time. And I think it's lunchtime, by the way, and you guys are actually doing this while it's lunch in East Coast, something like that. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to Kristin. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to Ryan. This was a special episode of Recovery. Go check out RealSure. Those guys are doing really, really interesting things in the space, completely consumer-centric. And I think that we hear about a lot of offers, but not enough about consumers. And this is why one of the reasons why I was really, really interested to talking to these guys. And remember, in the recovery, never get back to the same place, but strive to get to a better place. Thank you very much. That's it for us, guys.
Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing. The series is awesome. It's inspirational. I appreciate it, Ryan. It really is. It brings us a lot of energy. I love that I get to see every episode. I loved your episode with Joyce the other day. She's like the absolute best, right? She's awesome. Yeah, but thank you for what you're doing, truly.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Really, really thank you for your time. Absolutely.
Thank you for having us. And we'd love to come talk to you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Kristin. You guys have a great afternoon. And I'm going to follow up when the episode is ready in a couple of weeks. And I can share that with you as well.
Great.
Wonderful.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.